All right, everyone. Welcome to the final session of the Secure Our Streets conference this year for 2025. Our next session is the second exploit story of today's conference. The title of this is AutoRFKiller, the tool that unlocks thousands of cars and earn 2 CVEs. This talk dives into the discovery and responsible disclosure of a vulnerability in RF based car locking systems, sharing the journey from exploitation to public release of the AutoRFKiller tool. Joining us is Danilo Erazo, an independent security researcher from Ecuador, founder of the car hacking village at Eco Party and the Pawn or Die conference. Also, a veteran speaker at global cybersecurity events, including DEF CON, Recon, and Hardware USA. Please welcome to the stage Danilo Erazo. Danilo, the stage is yours, sir. Have fun. Looking forward
Thank
to
you
your
so much.
talk.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, dear John. For me, it's a pleasure to stay here. I'm very happy to share this exploited story because it have many emotions, the issues that I have to overcome to execute that. So it's very interesting. So I'm going to show when, why, and how this research was executed. So this is my Twitter, and this is AutoRFKiller, the tool that unlock a thumbs up on cars. As John mentioned previously, I'm the founder of or Die conference in Ecuador. I'm the founder of car hacking village at Eco Party, and I am volunteering in the car hacking village DevCon. I am at the moment I am independent security researcher, but I have a background as a penetration testing from 2020. I'm an electronic engineer and a speaker in this kind of conference. I really like to share this kind of knowledge. I really like to share the full disclosure of the vulnerabilities and improve the security of the automotive cybersecurity world. So go ahead. What is the beginning? The beginning of this amazing history uh, was start on October 2022 when I bought my first car. What car was a Kia Soluto. Okay, so this kind of car is able in Latin America, in Asia, and but it is not available in United States, for example. Okay, so in some parts in the world. So what's the next? On August 8th, on 2023, I went to my first DEFCON, the DEFCON 31. So I visited the car hacking village and I fell in love with the automotive cybersecurity world because I was trying to hack. I bring my hacker AF and I was trying to execute the challenges and so on. So I really fell in love in the car hacking world. So in November, after I come back from DevCon, at the same time, I decided to start learning about car hacking. That's the reason that I read all the book, the Car Hacker's Handbook, and more resources. So I also bought the necessary hardware hacking tools, and I start practicing car hacking on my own car. It's worth mentioning that I have a previously background in about hardware hacking because I hacked my home router. I was able to find remote command execution in some of these embedded devices. So I had the knowledge at this moment. Okay, and I at December I presented the progress of my current research in my first car hacking talk was like car hacking 101. This was like just an internal presentation at my previous job. So I do that for fun, for sharing knowledge with my previous uh, friends of my last job. So yeah, I was trying to have my own car. So this date is very interesting because on December 29th, um, on 2023, a friend of mine visited Ecuador, and he brought his Flipper Zero, and he was trying to sniff the frequency of my car headphone, but it didn't work. So I was left wondering, like, what is going on? Why the Flipper Zero don't detect the frequency? So it's not the frequency is supposed to be 43 megahertz. So I was left wondering that, man. So I remember that I was thinking, hey, I need to disassemble my KFOB to discover what is going on. But at this moment, I was thinking that my KFOB works with rolling code because it's the last technology security and so on. But I forget about that, and I didn't pay attention anymore about that. And between January and March 2024, I was trying to hack my own vehicle, and I discovered some bugs, no critical vulnerabilities, like local can injection, discovering UDS services with carrying caribou to root for the tag and interacting with the electronic control units through the UDS. Okay, but what is going on April 13, 2024? I was noting all the dates. In all my research, I was always, I have an Excel that I note all the dates. That's the reason I have the date, the precise date. So in this date, I discovered that my car KFOB is not using rolling code. Instead, it's using learning code. But what the hell is learning code? This is not similar to fixed code, but it's very close to similar fixed code, but works in a different way. So I exploited that. Just with a replay attack, and was very dangerous because I discovered that my car is not using rolling code. The chip into this KFOB was the HS2240, and the frequency was 370 megahertz. That's the reason that when my friend visited me, he was not able to sniff the frequency because in the Flipper Zero, I think that the Flipper Zero don't have this frequency, okay, in the sub gigahertz functionality. Okay, so I discovered about learning cons, and I was looking for vulnerabilities about learning con. I didn't find anything at this moment. I searched about, I found about fixed code, rolling code, but learning code was something new for everyone. Okay, so on May 23 in 2024, I reported the vulnerability to ASRG, and they began discussion with KR Corporation. Okay. And after that, on May 28, on 2024, I checked it with X person at Kia Ecuador, and I found that these alarms are installed in vehicles that don't come with factory original alarms, specifically those assembled in Ecuador. So this is a vulnerability that is inserted in the aftermarket process. Okay, so one of these models is my Kia Soluto, and also according to the website, official website Kia, the Kia Picanto and Kia Rio also use this vulnerable alarm system, the vulnerable remote keyless entry system. So as a customer, I decided go to Kia Ecuador and told it like, hey, please, could you change this vulnerable KFOB? And I was able to show in live the replay attack, and Kia Ecuador, the guys of Kia Ecuador, was taking that, and I was able to check the vulnerability on site in the Kia matrix, in the Kia, the principal in the main office of Kia Ecuador. Okay, so yeah, on June 2024, I identified the precise 20 bits and 4 bits data sequences transmitted by the vulnerable chip. On June 24, I visited the Kia Ecuador main office in person, and I was able to get a meet with these guys, and they told me that they will contact to the KFOB manufacturer to inquire about the lack of rolling code implementation. So what is going on here? At this moment, these guys didn't know about rolling code security, didn't know about CVEs, common vulnerability enumeration, didn't know about anything about automotive cybersecurity world, because this is South America. In South America, many car dealerships didn't know about anything about automotive cybersecurity. Nothing in the most of the countries. Okay, so they assumed that all the KFOBs in Ecuador may be vulnerable. However, they didn't seem particularly concerned, and I never received a follow up. As a result, I decided to disclose the 0-day vulnerability public. Okay, but at the same day, these guys gave me the 2024 KFOB. So in this moment, I disassembled in the same Kia office. I disassemble, and I also bring my hack RF, and I just sniff the frequencies. I disassemble, I check the chip, and I realized another chip that is also works with learning code. The chip was EB1527. This is also the same vulnerability. The difference is that it works in another frequency, this KFOP that I have here. I think so. This one here. Okay. So after that, I bought the vulnerable remote keyless entry system with $178. So basically, at this moment, it didn't exist a safe remote keyless entry system. So this was very dangerous. That's the vulnerable KFOP that this moment 1 year before was online. Okay, so it's expensive. It's like 170 megahertz, a vulnerable keyless entry system, a China's vulnerable keyless entry system, a very dangerous. So what is going on the next? Like in Ecuador, the Kia Soluto is one of the most stolen cars in Ecuador. And if you visit some car aftermarkets, you are going to realize that there exists underground cycles where criminals are familiar with the replay attack and also can detect the vulnerable KFOP simply by see the KFOP, just checking the model. Okay, that's the reason that this is the objective of this talk is to raise awareness about the vulnerability that come with China's aftermarket. Okay, so therefore, you can see here Spanish news. This is our Ecuadorian news that is in Spanish, but it is about the Kia Soluto that is one of the most stolen cars. So you can check more here. You can see the URLs. Okay, so it's like Kia Soluto was stolen in Central Commercial. Kia Soluto was stolen in other places, but is one of the most stolen car in Ecuador. So what was my goal? My goal was to demonstrate the severity of this issue to Kia by unlocking any car that uses learning code. So that's the reason that I bought a Yaris T1. But what is going on? The Yaris T1 is not capable of transmit signals at 370 megahertz. So I lost that money. So at this moment, I don't use anymore the ERST1 because the ERST1 works perfect in 400 3 megahertz 400. So I developed my own GNU radio block capable of locking and unlocking my car with the specific sequence. At this moment, not with brute force attack. So this was on June 27. One day after that, I created a Python based command line interface tool that interface with my custom GNU radio block to log and unlock the car. Okay, so after that, on July 2, 2024, I discovered the actual 20 bits encoded, one is represented as 110 and 0 as 100. This in using ASK modulation, okay? The research is more difficult, is more deep, and in this talk, I'm not going to show the vulnerability in a technical deep. This is more for exploit story, but I'm going to share the URLs if you want to look more in deep. Okay, so the preamble is not encoded, which allows the brute force attacks to be accurate and effective. Okay, at this moment, I was very slow. It was very slow. Each code takes about 4 seconds to transmit. So the brute force at this moment was very slow. So after that, this is the exploit. Basically, what we have here ASK modulation in the frequency 370 megahertz, and the brain of the exploit is this code block that I developed, and at this moment is open source. Just today, I public the tool. I public everything. Okay, so this is the brain of the exploit. Okay, so on July 3, I developed a brute force script with 14 milliseconds delay, very fast. So the entire attack completes in 11 hours at most. So their cyber is not damaged during the process. That's also a vulnerability. And finally, I achieved the first successful brute force attack capable of unlocking any vulnerable Kia vehicle. Okay, so and after that, I joined many attacks also for rolling codes. The rollback attack, the rollback, the roll jam attack. So I joined all the vulnerabilities in just one tool. Vulnerabilities for rolling code and also for learning code and also for fixed code. So I joined that and I developed AutoRFKiller version 0.10 on July 2024. And it was very funny because I was executing this like for many like minutes or hours, and my car was unlocked. I remember that I listened that my car was unlocked one time, and I was like, great. But after that, it's very funny because I listened that my car was unlocked for two times. So I was like, oh shit, this is danger. I think that the Kia introduced a backdoor. But I forget completely that when I bought a car, the car bring with two key fobs. So that's the reason that the car was unlocked two times. Okay, so keep in mind that the learning code is different to fixed code because learning code is a different learning code in each car. That means that each car have a different code. So with one learning code, you cannot unlock another car. And also each KFO has a different learning code. Okay. So basically on August 9 at DEFCON 32, I showed my zero-day vulnerability along with the release of the AutoRFKiller version 1. And at this moment, the communication between ASRG, Kia Corporation, and Kia Ecuador was with a many delay because Kia Corporation and Kia Ecuador didn't want to help, didn't want to pass, didn't want to cooperate to this because this was very dangerous. That's the reason that I publish everything in this talk. You are invited to check. Here you can get all the details. So on December 6, 2024, I left my position as a penetration tester to dedicate myself fully independent automotive security charge and also as a bug hunter. And at the moment, I was able to discover 7 CVEs. So was very good to execute, to take this decision. Okay. So what is going on? Was December 2024. Okay. So at this moment, ASRG needed to know who is the vendor of the supplier of this KFOB. We already know it is about aftermarket vulnerabilities. So this story is very similar to the cause. It is the code fault because Kia Corporation was like, "Hey, we don't manufacture these KFOBs," and Kia Ecuador acting with no answers, with many delays. Um, was saying that the second KFOB is not vulnerable. The second KFOB is the KFOB with chip EB1527, and also Ecuador bought. Maybe I don't know if it is true or not, but they bought a Flipper Zero and they test and they say, "Hey, this is not a vulnerability," but was a lie, absolutely, because this was a vulnerability I showed in the Kia office, okay, and also I showed at DEFCON 32 the vulnerabilities online. So we at this moment we didn't know about who is the Kia Tier One, the Tier One that supply these KFOBs, this vulnerable remote keyless entry system. But Kia Ecuador put in one of these emails. Email address of the Kia Tier 1 of this KFOB. So, but also no answer, also with delay, also these guys didn't worry about anything. So also is about the you know these guys didn't know about anything about automotive cybersecurity, didn't know about CVE process, didn't know about anything. So it was very difficult. So I was trying to contact the Kia Tier 1 through WhatsApp and email, and I saved my contact information, writing like, hey, I am this person, I discovered that, this is danger, something like that, okay? But also, I don't get any answer about that, okay? So, but what is going on April 22, 2025? The tier 1 Kia supplier that I contact previously contract me to perform a security audit of their rolling code remote keyless entry system, which was being developed to replace the insecure system used by Kia Ecuador at this moment. Because at this moment, Kia Ecuador was talking with their supplier for to replace the vulnerable keyless entry system for a secure. And yes, I was hired because previously I contacted to this tier 1. And on May 9th, 2025 during an on-site visit. I visited the tier 1 supplier and I presented 4 vulnerabilities that I had identified in their custom rolling code, remorque system. Okay, and following the results, they chose not to deploy the system to the market. So was very good to do that, to have the security. Okay, so in this moment, the things was improving. And after that, the supply chain is discovered because I was talking with the tier 1, and at this moment I discovered all the fails, all the issues, because this is like supply chain issues. Okay, so what is going on? First of all, Ecuador is the OMM. Okay, the tier 1 is the entity that hired me to audit their remote entry system. But it's interesting here because these guys don't manufacture anything. These guys just contact to another tier 2 intermediary that I don't know, is like an intermediary that works for all Latin America. Okay, and this intermediary that is a tier 1 2 contact the China's manufacturer and request the remote entry system with the designs that specify the tier 1. Okay, so that's the reason that was very difficult to know what was the manufacturer of these KFOBs. Okay, because K Ecuador didn't know about what was the actual manufacturer. Okay, yeah, I report this to ASRG, and this was very useful to get the CVEs because with this information, I solved many issues. Okay, so on May 25, I received my first payment for a car hacking pentest, my first income as an independent car hacker doing that pentest. And on June 13, 2025, finally, after more than 1 year, ASRG published my 2 automotive CVEs. And I received the email 5 minutes before my B-Sides Colombia toll. So was very good because I showed that in my B-Sides Colombia toll. So I was really happy to that. And after that, I didn't pay attention about that. And when I was many friends of mine sent me information that I was in news, like in cyber news, like in cybersecurity news, cyber warriors, Middle East news. So the vulnerability was very popular until this moment in cyberpress, in cyberpress disabled, in GB hackers, and so on. So there are another background history, but due to the time, yeah, is very interesting. Okay, to show that. So this is the background. And very fast, I will going to do a demo on live, unlocking the car with the AutoRFKiller. But previously, let me show you very fast little details about the vulnerability. This is, for example, the learning code HS2240 chips. And in the pin number 3, you have here the output of the learning code that it is already encoded. On the left, you have the ASK modulation, and here you have the pull down impulse, and finally the modulated learning code encoded that is the output. Okay, here you have the frame with the preamble, 20 bits and more. You have here the codification. I was able to detect that with a logic analyzer and also with radio frequency, and I compared and I was able to detect that all the frame. Okay, the frame is the preamble. This is not encoded. The learning code is encoded, but with a weak codification, and the 4 bits mode that also is encoded with this codification. So there are many chips vulnerable. The chips vulnerable are the HS1527 or the EB1527. 2240 and so on. So you have to be careful if you check this in your KFOB. Also, this is vulnerable to setting a backdoor in the keyless entry system because remember, the learning code is like you program. So a backdoor code program a tier learning code in your cyber and unlock with your custom learning code. So that's the reason that this learning code system, remote keyless entry system, are vulnerable to backdoor process. So very fast, I am going to. I'm going to take a backdoor. So basically, is backdoorized. in this moment, I am setting a backdoor code in this vulnerable kernel system. Okay. So the arbitrary code is sent to the hack RF is my SDR. This is like the same signal again. So right now I'm going to log. I'm going to test and then log. And right now I'm going to unlock the system. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there we go. Basically, I was able to unlock the system with the backdoor code that I said previously. So it's very dangerous. Yeah, this is again the exploit, and I was able to unlock many cars in the street in my country. There are thousands of cars in South America, but specific in Ecuador with this kind of remote keyless entry system with China's Aftermarket official homologated for the car dealership. So this is the list of the vulnerabilities, okay? But the tier one is very interesting because there is a collision attack. Why? Because the most of these learning code chips use 2 to 20 bits, only 1 million combination, okay? So increasing the possibility that a K4 will unlock another card that is not necessarily emit the signal with the same chip. Just in my country alone, there are tons of cards that are programmed with the learning codes. If we unit all the cards programmed with the learning codes in the world, there's a high probability that a remote control will open more than one card. So there will come a time where maybe 1 million codes will be filed all over the core, and there will be a time where all collision time, okay, and maybe no one will find out, or maybe this fireware has already been reached, okay. So yeah, go ahead to the demo. To do that, you can check right now. This page is the public repository. At this moment is public, so basically what I'm going to do is share my terminal screen. Let me share my terminal screen very fast. Where is Sprint Auto? Perfect. So basically, I have connected the hack RF. For use this tool, you need one SDR device is 100% tested in hack RF SDR device. So basically, I put here option number 1, enter the learning code fixed chip, in this case EB1527, for example. Okay, enter the learning code. Okay, in this case is EB1527. So the information, the program give me all the information. Was like the chip is the learning code chip. The chip has 20 bits of code, therefore there are 1 million possible codes. So I'm going to start in this offset, and I will finish in 360650. Okay. The delay, I'm going to push 60 milliseconds. You can put less, don't worry. Okay, so the attack will take just 6 seconds. So right now I'm going to move to my garage, and we are going to unlock the car on live. Okay, do you want? I want. So go ahead, let me I am going to before to do that, I'm going to show the demo that it is pre-recorded. Okay, this demo is this one here. Okay, but previously I will perfect and go ahead. Okay, so please wait me. I'm going to move to the garage, and I will. I will show the vulnerability very fast. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to activate the camera again. Perfect. Okay, so basically, I am going to run the script. As you can see here, we have the hacker ref. Okay, and I will put here 370 megahertz. Yeah. So yeah, the car is unlocked, and I will show the screen again. I will show the screen again, and I come back to my home again. So please give me just 1 minute, and I'm going to come back very fast. Okay. Thank you guys for waiting me. Thank you guys. You know this is for you, and I am back here. Nice. So, yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much for attending to my talk. Um, I don't know if I can share again the screen. So here we have all the code. So what was the code that unlocked the car? The code that unlocked the car was this one here. So as you can see, the brute force is very fast. You can set the milliseconds and so on. And at this moment, this tool is public. You can check the code, you can improve, you can contribute to everyone. So thank you so much.
All right, Danilo, thank you so much for the really interesting talk and little demonstration. Just a quick question from my side. So this RF Killer program is something you designed and released, correct?
Yes. I designed from zero, so it's developed with GNU Radio module for Python. So basically, I convert the GNU Radio block that I developed in the GNU Radio GUI interface into Python a command line interface to do more easy for a user.
Amazing.
Yes.
I really love GNU Radio. I think it's really an interesting product, and you can do a lot of fun things with it. We do have some questions from the audience. If it's okay, I'll throw up one of the questions uh, onto the stage here. So, what process did you follow to disclose the 0-day vulnerability publicly? Coming from Sagar.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, I just decided public because there was one. I don't have another option. Why? Because first of all, I live in a country and also in a continent that in South America that any car dealership didn't know about automotive cybersecurity, didn't know CVEs. So if I didn't publish this vulnerability, I think that at this moment I didn't have any CVE, and also I didn't have achieved a replacement of the remote keyless entry system. So in some cases, I think that the full disclosure is very necessary to achieve something. Because if you don't tell to the world that something is wrong and the people didn't want to help, didn't want to collaborate, so basically you are not going to achieve something. So this is one what this was one option. The another option was like just publish in a no official way, like a affecting to the directly to the key Ecuador, like something, for example, create a TikTok and share the TikTok to all the Ecuadorians or all the Colombians, because also this vulnerability is affected in another regions that I cannot tell at this moment, but this was not a correct. So the correct option was like, in this kind of conference that support you, DEF CON 2, and so on. Yeah.
Okay. I think we have time for one last question here. So, is your brute force based on the learning code pattern that you reverse engineered, or is it just plain brute force?
Yeah, absolutely. The pattern that I was able to reverse engineer. So this is a very intelligent brute force. So at this moment, you have the code to check what is going on. So basically, there are a weak codification that you need to understand, and after that, if you need you understand the codification, but first of all you need to execute a demodulation. Okay, so this is a reverse engineering process that I was able to execute, and after I get the frame in plain text, I realized that this is vulnerable to brute force attack, because it's very very probably that when you know the frame, maybe when you know the frame in all the remote keyless entry system, maybe in some custom rolling calls, if you know the frame, uh, you are able to execute a rolling code. But also the difficult process here is that you also need to uh, engulf this frame and also execute the same modulation. So it is not an easy process, but it is possible with time. So yeah, it's a reverse engineering process.
All right. Actually, we do have time for one more question. Uh,
Yes.
Last question is, now that the vulnerability has been disclosed, are the Kia offices in Ecuador contacting the vulnerable models owners to offer a fix?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, at this moment, the KFOPs that I reported are not available at this moment. So, basically, Kia Ecuador is concerned about the vulnerability, and from the CVE and also previously was starting looking for secure rolling code. So, basically, I have the opportunity to send what are the secure rolling code, the technical details about what secure rolling code you need to implement. So I was talking with the Kia Tier 1 supplier to offer my support about details, about what custom rolling codes you have to bring, because at this moment it's very easy to go to the aftermarkets and choose our hopping code or China's rolling code, but this kind of rolling codes are vulnerable also. So it's very difficult to get a 100% patch of this, because this is not a official Kia K4. And I think that the best solution will be that Kia Corporation supply official Kia K4s. Yeah. But at this moment, it don't work in this kind of cars that are assembled in South America and so on.
All right. Well, Danilo, thank you so much for your effort and research here and taking the time to present it to the entire SOS um, participants. Um, Myself, I really appreciate the research and so on and the effort. So, looking forward to the next interesting topic that you decide to tackle. So, thank you very much, Danilo. Actually, that concludes almost the SOS conference today. There is one last session, but that's me closing out and announcing some of the winners of all the giveaways we have going on today. Also, closing out some interesting topics that you still might want to check out. Come join me in the next session. It starts here, I think, in 10, 20 minutes. Looking forward to seeing you there. Have a good evening.